Welcome to SwitchCorner, my name is Alex and today we're taking a look at Primordia on the Nintendo Switch. Now this one, it's a cult classic from 2012 that's making its way to the Switch, and sure, it's definitely different, but fans of anything sci-fi or cyberpunk-esque, you may want to take a look. So with that, hit subscribe, join us here on SwitchCorner for reviews and deals near daily, and let's get started. So story, and here we'll take on the role of Horatio alongside companion droid Crispin. In this world, we spend our days studying the Book of Man. You see, in this world, the human race is now extinct. We've been relegated to nothing more than a belief, a religion for these robots that now inhabit this world, and this location, it's more than a little post-apocalyptic. Living aboard an airship though, life is simple, or at least it is until another droid comes along and steals our power core in the opening moments of the game. Now we need this core because, well, it helps us survive. The power is, well, I guess, absolutely necessary in this case, so it's off we go to get this core back. Now that's just the opening moments of the game, and this journey evolves as we look into both our past and also the mystery of man. The story though, look, really good thanks to top quality writing. It manages to not only escalate the scenario ahead of us, but do so while delivering plenty of jokes and even some moments that are like a little self-referential. So the gameplay on this one, it's a classic style point and click if you didn't notice that already from the video footage so far. But yeah, I'm also talking here real old school, like no free movement, rather you'll be using the joystick to move a cursor found on the screen. That said, look, it works just fine, and if that is not your style, you can use the D-pad to lock onto anything interactable around these locations, and yeah, that basically bypasses the use of the cursor entirely. The game's controls though, outside of that, simple enough. The A button interacts with the world, a pop-up menu appears, you can choose either to interact directly, examine, or ask Crispin to do the work for you. Again, that is your flying buddy. At the top of the screen then you'll find a quick access menu for items and maps. You can also then hold Y to reveal all interactable items around each location, and then the triggers, quick map access, cycle items, and open your datapads. That's really all there is to it control-wise, but being a point and click, the core gameplay as in, the controls, it's not really what you're here for. You're here to explore, interact, tackle puzzles, and of course uncover and even combine items. The controls then as well, for the most part, an absolute success, honestly. Anything cursor-based gets me nervous when it comes to, playing on any console, not just the Nintendo Switch, so that is absolutely a win for sure. The other note then as well, it has touchscreen controls implemented here too. Wasn't for me personally, the Joy-Con seemed better optimized, but they still absolutely work. The exploration then, honestly, these are small locations. Occasionally you can transition, let's say, indoors or out, and you'll see a quick flash of the screen. Loading is near instant, which is always good to see, but it's not the largest of worlds, this one. At least though, they are packed with things to do, from locals to meet to items to uncover, and I definitely enjoyed the puzzles, even though I will say here kind of a little bit at times simplistic. A positive on the puzzles though, they are never unfair, they are never obscure, which can sometimes be the case with points and clicks. What I found actually really unique as well, I didn't realise this initially, was some puzzles are absolutely required, others not so much. That actually put me in a unique spot early in the game. Let's say I accidentally killed someone while I was doing some digging, and it's actually designed to be optional, and not all mistakes lead to, I guess, failure. I like that a lot. It made the puzzles not only interesting in the sense I could come back, but they actually carried more weight at times, because I'm not just going to get a game over screen and get to try again. I actually had to think about it and be careful. Most games in this genre, realistically, you either do the puzzle the correct way or you're not moving forwards. You can of course then manually save the game if you want to, let's say right before a puzzle, but I quite enjoyed the pressure I was placing on myself to get the result I needed. Also then, this one, it's quite a short experience. I clocked in around the 6-hour mark, so it would definitely be considered, or for me at least, kind of bite-sized by genre standards. I think it felt, just right for the story it's telling. I definitely could have, handled more, but I'm also not going to say it was too short. I think they got everything wrapped up in a nice time frame. It's never going to be taking you on an excessive journey, basically, and the game is essentially designed entirely around an interactive map which could be seen as fast travel, so no doubt that definitely cuts some time out. Also then, it has multiple endings, so there's absolutely reason to head back in and give it another spin. I believe in total you can uncover 7 from what I'm seeing online, so that's for sure now got me curious. Problems then, and not a huge amount honestly. Plays well. If anything though, I feel like maybe it is still just a little bit too easy, not just the puzzles but also the ability to show all items on screen. That is a nice touch given, the control scheme, but it also removes all mystery about each location because you can see absolutely everything you can interact with, so you stop kind of that search. I wish in this case you could turn it on and off, almost like think an easy mode. Sure, I know I could have just not used it myself, but that is easier said than done. Honestly, I'm just a weak person. Another issue I noted as well, when you hover over an object and go to use an item on it, that works absolutely fine. It's actually accompanied the item with text, which is great and necessary given kind of like the pixelated visual style, but it seems to have an issue where when you get up close to an item it often opens a pop-up window so you can see further in. In these moments the text actually disappeared, so you now need to hope you can visually identify what you need. That's a bit of a pain honestly as you start to grow out that inventory. My final issue then, any movement can be cancelled, but let's say you click on something to interact with it and it's halfway across the location. You cannot cancel this movement with any input, and I tried over and over again. You need to let it now fully play out. I know that is a minor thing, but I made a few mistakes and I had to kind of sit there and watch dialogue and actions repeat. Overall though, look, for gameplay, this is a return to the classic point-and-click world, and that's a world I personally love. I grew up on the genre, and it's easy to see, diving into this world, why it's earned now that cult status. It's definitely a love letter to many of the classics. Sure, it has shortcomings, but that's easy to forgive. Again, look, when the genre nowadays gets so little attention, so I am absolutely here for it, and yeah, I think if you like your point-and-clicks, this should be definitely going on the list. So graphics, and if you've got this far into the video, let's face it, you're no doubt okay with the look they've went for, and respect, I'm an absolute fan as well. Anything old school, I'm just an absolute sucker for. That said though, it is still honestly a little bit jarring, this visual style. Back in the day, it was on a tiny monitor. Blowing this up on my 50-inch TV, it was a little bit too much at times. I actually ended up switching to a smaller monitor to capture that first hour or so of footage before jumping into handhelds. For me, the visual style though, that is where it absolutely popped. It looks so clean in handheld, and I don't know, it just feels right, even though it's somewhat old school as well. Each location is varied in this world, and they've managed to pack in quite a bit of detail. Text then is also perfectly readable, which is always a concern when it comes to handheld play, especially when they start to go for that pixelated look. Audio then is the absolute winner of this game. The music, it's a whole lot of atmospheric pieces with that futuristic edge. Think recognisable instrumentation, but then reinforced with something you don't quite recognise, and it for sure adds to the setting. The same can be said for the few minimal sound effects as well, but it definitely does enough. The overall winner though here, every line is voice acted, and it is top quality. It still feels though the voice acting like it matches the era it's striving to be, but it just brings every single character to life, and the two leads, they are by far the standout. They're talking, arguing, joking. It's just the highlight of the game, and that's what kept me locked in from beginning to end. It also then includes a commentary mode as well. I didn't check it out myself, but it's a voiceover from the designer of the game discussing the work, which I think it's definitely a nice touch for those diehard fans out there that want to keep on going back. So the final verdict, and Primordia was a nice surprise. Over on Steam, it's got an overwhelmingly positive user rating, and I can see why. Between the fantastic writing, the voiceover work, it's just a story that sucks you in, and then the gameplay, it's simple, but it's definitely a classic setup. Again, I grew up on the likes of Grim Fandango, Broken Sword, Monkey Island, and if you ever enjoyed any of those experiences, you should probably look here as well. That said though, still, look, it still has some issues. It's a little easy at points. The text that seems to be missing in zoomed in moments could do with a quick fix, and most of all, the fact you can reveal the location of every single item on screen, that should be optional. I appreciate this is probably a reaction to porting to console, but they did a good enough job that I wouldn't have missed that quick snap at D-pad or that option to reveal. Just leave it out, let us figure it out ourselves. Today though, a great 8 out of 10 from me, and it's good to see another entry for the point and click genre join the Switch. A shout out then to the patrons of the channel who are going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. It helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. Then hit subscribe if you love the Switch, as much as we all do here, join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.